your shoulders like a storm that never blows over. Dial a number for a friendly ear. Jay's the power to chase your fear. Lost in shadows, feeling so alone. Pick up the phone, you're not on your own. Words of kindness heal a broken heart. Jay's the one to give you a fresh start. Jay's just a call away when you're feeling low. A friend who listens when you've got nowhere to go. Through the highs and lows, she'll stay. Dial that number, Jay's just a call away.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Jay and this is Jay Listens. So basically this channel is a motivational and inspirational channel for anyone out there who's going through whatever. You know, it could be emotional struggles, it could be problems with relationships, it could be personal problems, it could be social problems. Maybe you're out there and you're feeling down, you're feeling lost, you're feeling lonely, and you just need to find hope in the midst of everything. You've come to the right place. This channel is exactly for you. And people like you who gather here to find inspiration and motivation in the midst of trials and situations. So again, I'm Jay. And this is Jay Listen. So this is the third video I've uploaded, and we've basically been talking about different range of topics that we may face one way or the other. Either we will face it or somebody that we know will face it at some point in time. Just to recap the last video, we talked about breakups and how to deal with breakups. We talked about the different situations and scenarios that you may find yourself in. And we also said that all is not lost. Depending on you as the person, you can decide how best to approach the breakup and that period of grief that comes after the breakup. But we said that no matter what you do, whether the breakup was a good one or a bad one, we said still take time to acknowledge the breakup, take time to heal, and don't rush yourself to move on when you're not ready, because if you do that, eventually you will have to still deal with the situation, whether it's months or years from now. So it's better to just give yourself time and process it, acknowledge it, but don't dwell too long there, so that you don't find yourself sinking deeper and deeper into this darkness and you can't get out of it. So if you didn't watch the last video, please, I encourage you to go and watch it. It's video number 2, and you can learn more about what we discussed. So what are we going to talk about today, guys? I was sitting and thinking, right now, there are so many things going on in the world. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are in emotional pain. The economy is bad in a lot of places. People are hurting. People are going through emotional turmoil. Whether it's the loss of a relationship, or they lost their jobs, or they didn't get, what they wanted, basically. It's just people are hurting for different reasons. So there are lots of topics that we will be covering in other videos, but for this particular video, I just want to pause and take a moment to just talk about depression at this time. Depression is something that either maybe you have dealt with at one point in your life, maybe you're still dealing with it now, or maybe you know somebody who knows somebody who has dealt with depression. Is a very serious topic. It's something that people tend to gloss over a lot because, nobody wants to talk about an uncomfortable situation or topic, but I thought that is important because a lot of people are going through emotional pain right now. And if you're out there and you're going through depression, I want you to know that you are not alone. All right? There are thousands of people across the world, not just in the US, who are going through one form of depression or the other. Depressions vary. You will have a very mild depression, and you will have a moderate depression, and then there are people who are going through severe depression. So I don't know which category you find yourself in right now, but I do encourage you to listen because you may get something out of this video. Just a disclaimer, I'm not a therapist. So whatever I say here, is not final. You should always seek professional advice based on your situation. But I'm just going to talk based on my situation. I'm a compassionate and empathetic listener. So I do talk to people who, are going through one form of depression or the other. And based on their situation, we do work together and I do provide emotional support to them. Okay, and I may be able to do the same for you. So, first of all, if you're going through depression out there, I just want you to know that all is not lost. I know it may seem impossible saying it, especially when you're in a situation, especially a situation that is hopeless. All you can see at that point, at that moment, is that situation. It's very hard to see outside of the situation. So if there is somebody out there who's telling you that there is hope and everything is not as hopeless as it seems, sometimes it's very hard to believe. But I just want you to just take a moment and just believe it right now, okay? Whether or not it seems possible, I want you to know that no matter how hopeless your situation may look, it's not as bad as it seems. Nothing is as bad as it appears to be. A situation, the severity of a situation is based on our own projection and perception of that situation, okay? So a situation that you may think is so bad and so hopeless may not actually be that bad. It could just be based on your own reality and perception that you've, built around that situation, and that's how you're seeing that situation. So it doesn't actually mean that it may be like that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you think your situation is hopeless and you've lost all hope and you think nothing can be done about it, I want to tell you that something can be done about it. That there is no situation that you can't get yourself out of. There is no situation that you cannot turn around. All right. Another thing I want to talk about is if you're going through depression out there right now, the very first thing you want to do is take a step back and figure out what is causing the depression. This is very, very important. A lot of people do not take time to figure out, why am I depressed? They do not. They just say, I'm depressed. I'm depressed. I'm going through depression. But have you paused and really asked yourself why? And there's something I call the why factor, and I want you to apply it in your situation. So if you're going through depression out there, the first step is to find the root of the problem. Now, there are symptoms of the problem, and then there's the root of the problem. So you have to be careful not to, mix the two together. All right. And how do you get to the root of the problem? By asking yourself why. So for example, if somebody calls me right now and say, hey Jay, I'm depressed, my first question to them would be, why are you depressed? And maybe they might say, I'm depressed because maybe I'm not where I want to be in life right now. Then my second question would be, why are you not in life where you want to be in life right now? Or why do you think you're not where you want to be in life right now? And maybe they could say, oh, I didn't get the kind of job I wanted. And my next question would be, why do you think you didn't get the kind of job you wanted? So you see where I'm going with this. I will keep asking why until we get to the end where there is no other answer, that no other possible answer that can be, given. And once we get to that point where we can't get any other answer out of the questions, then the very last answer that was given is the root answer, and it's the root of the problem. So you can apply that in your situation if you want to find out what is the actual cause of your depression out there. You want to ask yourself why, and keep asking yourself why to every answer that you will give until you reach to the point where you don't have any other answer. And that very last answer will be the base answer, or the root cause of your depression. Okay, now there are symptoms of depression, so you have to be careful not to mix the base or the root cause of the depression with the symptoms. Okay, so maybe a symptom of depression could be you're sad, you don't believe in yourself, you feel hopeless, so sometimes symptoms and base can be, one or the other, but there will always be symptoms, and then there will always be the root cause. There, like, something is causing that depression that generates into different symptoms of the problem. So if you're trying to solve the symptoms of depression and you're not solving the root cause of depression, you're not going to get far. You will always find yourself slipping right back where you started from, or where you don't want to be. Okay, so you have to be careful not to solve the symptoms, but you need to solve the base or the root of the problem. And the only way for you to get to the root of the problem is to keep asking why. You have to keep asking yourself why. Why is this happening? Why am I depressed? Why do I feel this way? And don't try to solve the symptoms of the problem. Like, oh, I sleep all the time. Maybe you sleeping all the time is a symptom of the depression. It's not the cause of the depression. You thinking you're ugly or you're not good enough is a symptom, is not the cause. That's an example. It could be vice versa. Okay, so it's based on each individual situation. It could be unique to you. What could be a symptom to you could be a root cause for somebody else. So only you will know whether your symptom is a root cause versus whether a person's root cause is a symptom. If that makes sense. So again, I've said it in other videos, you have to learn to know yourself a little better. You have to take time to understand who you are. You have to take time to listen to your body, because it will tell you what's wrong. It will tell you eventually. If you just take time to get in tune with your body and listen, it does speak to you. But if you're not in tune, you're not gonna know. All right, so you have to be careful between symptoms and the root cause. Another thing I want to talk about, guys, if you're out there and you're in a situation that seems hopeless, that seems that there's no way out, and you've just given up, I want to tell you that there is no situation so hopeless that you can't get out of. It sounds really crazy right now, because when you're in a situation, you can't see beyond that situation. But just a minute, guys. Let me see. Let me just reply this real quick. So don't lose hope, guys. There is no situation so hopeless that you can't get out of. You can't get out of a situation. Why? Because depression is a mindset problem. And I know you'll be saying, Jay, why are you saying this? Because it's all in your head. All right? Depression is a manifestation of actions and decisions, perceptions, and beliefs that you've projected upon yourself. Okay? Those all manifest into what you term as depression. And all of those things are in your mind. And if you can control your mind, you can control the direction of the depression. You can control to either make it bigger or smaller based on your mindset. So that's why I said depression is a mindset problem. It's all in your head, you know. You have the power to project it to be bigger than it seems, or you have the power to reduce it and get rid of it totally. Because why? You are the master of your own mind. You have the power to carve your own path. You have the power to decide how you will use your mind. You have the power over your thoughts. And our thoughts become actions. As we think, so we are. So yes, there is a cure for depression. And that cure is you. That cure is you. And how is that cure? From your mind. It has to start with your mind, because depression is a mindset problem. So that's why I said you have to identify the root cause of the problem. You can't try to treat the symptoms. You have to treat the root cause. And how do you get to that root cause? By diving into your mind and figuring out, why am I thinking like this? Why do I think I'm depressed? Look, let me tell you something. You are the master of your own mind, okay? You have the power to carve your own destiny. You have the power to decide whether you're going to be depressed heavily or whether you're going to reduce your depression and get rid of it totally, because it's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. Just a minute, guys. Let me just respond to this text. Yeah. You know? So if you're out there and maybe you're going through this situation, you know, and if you don't believe that you can get out of it, you're not going to get out of it. You have to believe that I can get out of this situation. Why? Because again, your thoughts will direct your actions. Sorry. So you have to think it, believe it for it to happen. Okay? So if you don't believe it, the more you're going to slip further and further and further into the darkness that you don't want to be a part of. So let's see. I do have a text here. Again, guys, sometimes you can text me. You know, if you have a question or anything, feel free to text me, okay? I have a question here from Alicia. She's in New Jersey. Hey, Alicia, shout out to you. She says, Jay, how can I maintain a positive mindset and not be depressed in the midst of all the negatives around me and social media? Well, okay, let me just respond to Alicia right now. I'm just texting her back. Hey, Alicia, shout out to you again. Guys, you can text me when we're on. Even if we're not, I'll read your text, during the next podcast. So if you have questions or anything, just feel free to text me. Yeah, so just a minute. She's kind of responding to her, I'm letting her know I'm doing a podcast right now so I can talk to her. Alright. Okay. Yeah. So what Alicia said, right, guys? She says, how can she, not be depressed when she's, according to her, in her life, when she's surrounded by all the negatives and, social media. So first of all, social media can be good or bad based on, you know, how you see it and how you use it and what you take from it. Again, when you're out there in the world, people are going to throw a lot of things at you. It's up to you to take. You don't have to. What you take in is your choice. You don't have to take in certain things. You could switch certain things off. You don't have to. It's your choice. But we're going to talk about social media in another podcast. So I just wanted to touch on that. But the main thing I wanted to say based on Alicia's text is, guys, if you're in a situation, in a negative situation, the very first thing you want to do, if we identify the root cause of the problem, if you're depressed, and you figure out that there are certain situations that are actually fueling this depression, you want to try to minimize or get yourself out there. You do not have to be in a situation that you do not need to be in. That's the first thing you need to know. We all have the power to change course. If you're in a situation that you do not like, get out. It's that simple, okay? If you're in a situation, you're suffering, you're hurting, try to find a way out. You do not have to be in a situation you don't want to be in. Unless you have absolutely no choice, but there is always a choice. Even if you can't get out right now, you can start to plan, how to make things better. But the very first thing, you want to know your situation and you want to get out of those situations that are hurting you. Yeah, that are hurting you. So you have to take care of yourself when you're in. Uh, guys, I'm sorry. I had to take that. All right. So back to what Alicia was saying. Alicia from New Jersey, shout out to you. Again, guys, you can always, message me on my number and I will read your comments in the next podcast. Okay. So what Alicia was saying, if you're in a situation to get rid of the negatives, is that you have to focus on the positives. Okay, don't dwell on the negatives. So if you're in a situation that's not doing you good, that's not doing you well, that's fueling your depression or whatever it is that you're going through, you want to try to minimize that situation or get out of it totally. All right, because we talked in the last podcast that whatever you give energy to will grow. So if you're anywhere and you realize that this situation is harmful to me, it's actually fueling my depression, it's making it worse, making my situation worse, you want to try to step back from that situation. If you can't step back totally, you want to at least try to minimize it as much as you can, because believe it or not, your environment will actually shape who you are. It will shape your perception of yourself. It will help shape your thoughts and beliefs over time. So you have to be careful the kind of environment that you place yourself in, okay? There are some situations you cannot 100% get out of, but there is a way that you can still be in a situation, but you can detach yourself from it. You can remove yourself from it, and you can block it in a way that it doesn't feed, negatives to you, into you, so that it doesn't project in your mind, and then all these projections do not become your reality over time. So Again, you can call me up. Let's talk about it if you're in that kind of situation, and we can brainstorm ways together. If you find yourself in a situation like that, we can brainstorm ways. Call me up and we can talk about it, how to get you out of that situation or how to minimize it.
When the nights are long and full of doubt, Jay's the voice that'll help you out. No judgment, just a friend